generator that I need to use for powering my iron, running our washing machine, and charging up our batteries that are attached to the solar panels when we're having a really gray day. And not just a gray day. Our power lasts longer than that. But if we have a whole week of gray, rainy weather, then we generally have to charge up those batteries using our trusty Honda generator. Birds are happy today. There was a float plane flying overhead just now. Those are fairly common. We get a few of those a day. Sometimes we even get the helicopter going over top. I think we're on a flight path for a bit of a tour that happens around here. So, sorry, I'm focusing on the generator here, and I'm not giving you a beautiful shot of what the weather looks like today. It's Tuesday, August 20th today. It's my friend Adrian's birthday. Adrian from the Fiber Friends. So Adrian, I'm not sure if you're watching these videos, but if you are, happy birthday. Hope you're having a great day. So you can see this is the other side. I call this the front of the cottage. We have more rocks on our deck here, again for holding swimsuits and towels and all of those kinds of things that get wet around here. We don't have a dryer, obviously, so we use the outside to dry our things. So I'm just getting set up to do my ironing for the day, so I thought it was a good chance for me to come outside and share with you one of our main tools in running an off-the-grid lifestyle. Comes in pretty handy. Big red. All right, so back to work. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I have moved into my sewing room to record these videos because, well, being that my husband and son are here as well, this gives me a quiet place to stay out of the way. And I just like being in here. So as far as crafty update for today, day 2 of Cottage Diaries, I did a little bit. I managed to get a little bit done. Our visitors were here until about 11 a.m. this morning, and it's now 3 o'clock. So I've done some Evertote work in those few hours since they left. But so last night I didn't get a lot done. I did some more knitting while we were sitting there. There's another shawl project that I'm working on, but I'll share that tomorrow because I discovered that I had made an error in that as well. So I spent last night unpicking that error and correcting that mistake. So I'll share that tomorrow. But as far as stitching, I stayed monogamous with Quaker Diamonds, and I would really like to complete this top right corner. So I've moved over into this diamond motif here, and I managed to get the bottom part of the diamond done. So let's show that. Got it right in front of me here. So there we have it. So not a ton, but I'm going to wrap up my work here in the sewing room in the next couple of hours, and John and I have plans to watch MasterChef Australia tonight, so then I'll have some substantial stitching time this evening, which I'm looking forward to. As far as MasterChef Australia goes, we are still watching last season. So this is 2019's MasterChef, which has been over for quite a while. So no spoilers, please, because we are way, way, way behind. We only ever watch it at the cottage, so we sort of bring episodes up here, and it's really the only television that we watch up here. And we kind of hoard the episodes, and we look forward to watching it. So few of those episodes are on the menu for tonight, and just a quiet evening here at the cottage. So expect to see some more progress on that right corner tomorrow. I had said yesterday that I thought this was a 32 count. I think I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is a 28 count linen. As I've been crossing those X's, I thought this feels a bit big for 32 count, so I have a funny feeling it's 28. Not that that's, neither here nor there. However, I just wanted to, for myself, make sure I said that. The other thing is I'm still having questions about the thread that I'm using for this. I had mentioned yesterday I am using a silk conversion done by Vicki Clayton, who used to do hand-dyed silks and unfortunately no longer sells them. So, and I have them all in floss away bags, so they're not even, displayed prettily for me to share them with you. Very utilitarian around here, just keeping myself organized. So, more Quaker diamonds tonight, and I also would really like to get another row done on Sarah's Afghan. I've been trying to do a row a day so that I don't get out of the habit of working on it, so that, she's not a grandmother by the time I gift her with this Afghan. We'll see. So getting into the cottagey bits, I started the video today with a little bit of cottagey stuff. I know I said yesterday I was going to do the crafty stuff at the beginning and the cottagey stuff at the end, but that's just not how I work. My personality is that I'll be talking about one thing and thinking about another. So I'm going to keep these videos kind of as the way my mind works, and what I see to tell you, I'll talk about that in the order, and hopefully you'll find something of interest to listen along and share with me. So I had a few comments and questions from yesterday, so I'm just gonna quickly talk about that first. Pam R wants to know whether we fish up here, and yes we do. Not a lot. We're not sort of avid fishermen. And I had another comment from Nancy R. Apparently Nancy R's husband has actually fished up here in the Thousand Islands, and both thought it was a lovely place to be, and second of all, agreed that he thought the fishing was quite good up here. So I will take Nancy's husband's word for it. As far as the fishing around our direct area, from what I can gather from my in-laws, it used to be a lot easier to catch fish right around where we are back in the 80s, like smallmouth bass and, things like that. So apparently the population is starting to come back. We notice a lot of smallmouth bass around the boathouse area. So sorry about that. My father-in-law just stopped by for a quick visit, so I had to pause the recording there. Okay, where was I? I was talking about the fishing. My husband and my son like to go out just for fun to catch fish, and 99.9% of the time, if they manage to catch anything, it's catch and release sort of situation. My son doesn't. He loves eating fish, but he doesn't really love the whole stewardship of the preparation of the fish. So generally the fish is released back into the wild. Okay, Pam A left me a lovely comment about how the geography here in the wilderness reminds her of Labrador, which I'm not surprised. She said, except perhaps for the mosquitoes. Now, Pam, I don't mean to compare my mosquitoes to yours, but we do have a wealth of mosquitoes here as well. And especially at dusk, it's one of the reasons why we have a screened-in porch. We call it the breeze room, and it's well named. We have lots of wind up here. But the breeze room is really where we hang out most of the time because it can be so mosquito-y here. However, not to be competitive about the size of our mosquitoes. I'm going to take your word for it that yours are worse than ours. Okay, Teal left me a question, a great question actually, about the bears. She wants to know whether the bears are protected from being hunted, or can the resident hunters kill them. They are not, they're not protected from being hunted, if that answers your question. Black bears in this area are plentiful, and as you can imagine, don't really have many natural predators. So the fact that we do have hunters who can. I checked the limits this morning because I was curious when you asked. I believe the rules are that it's one bear per hunter, but they can apply for a second tag. So it's you know, this is a tricky issue, right? Because we are not hunters, and but we are friends with people who hunt, and we're friends with people who don't hunt, and you know, it's that whole cycle of life thing. And if you have a large bear population that does not have any natural predators, then you start to get into a situation where you have nuisance bears, and that's when they can become a problem, and then they have to be put down, which is, you know, really quite sad. So that happened at one of the First Nations marinas last summer. There was a bear that broke into the marina and ate all the ice cream. Like, actually, they have video footage of the bear sitting down at one of the things and going and raiding the entire ice cream counter and methodically eating all of the tubs of ice cream, which, you know, is rather funny, but it's also really sad because that bear, even though they tried to, you know, frighten it away and be very responsible in their treatment and respectful towards their treatment of this bear, the bear kept returning and breaking into the sort of restaurant area, because once they learn that there's food there and they can get in, bears are very smart. They will continue to come back, and sadly, very sadly, they had to put that bear down. So no, bears are not necessarily protected, but there are there's a certain responsibility towards stewardship of, you know, of being humane, and also it is illegal to hunt cubs and mother bears. So mother bears with cubs, you're not allowed to kill them. So you know, it's not a nice thing to talk about. It's not a nice thing to think about for those who don't believe in hunting, but it is, you know, it's a way of life for some people, and agree with it or not, you know, I think that there can be a mutual respect there for the situation. As far as our bears go, you know, lots of people have left me comments that, you know, they would love it here, but they'd be afraid of the bears. You know, it's an interesting thing because 20 years ago, there were no bears out here in the islands. Like none, no bears ever. And maybe even more recently than that, 20 years might even be too long. Might have only been about 15 years ago that there were no bears. But then, you know, the population of bears keeps growing, and they're, like I said yesterday, they're territorial and they require a lot of food. So they started coming out into the islands. Also, as the area, you know, Parry Sound, the you know, more cottagers, more blasting for the road. There used to just be a dual lane highway, and now it's a massive 4-lane highway that goes all the way up to I believe it's well past Sudbury now, Northern Ontario. And so, you know, where are they supposed to go? Where are they supposed to go? So they're very good swimmers. And so they've traveled out into the islands, and, you know, mainland residents have been living with bears forever. And for them, it is just second nature to know how to live in harmony with bears. And so for us out here, it's newer, so it's a little more nerve-wracking, but you do get used to it, and you get used to the fact that they are really rather timid, and they are more scared of you than you are of them. So anyways, I'm running out of battery on my phone there. So let's try to hurry it up here. Nothing if not wordy. I'm reliable, at least, reliably wordy. Okay, Katrina asked whether we have any year-round residents. out here or whether they are all summer homes. Well, that's a great question. I can tell you, we wish we were year-round. We really, really wish we were year-round here, but we're on an island and we live in Canada where our lakes freeze. So there are a few months out of the year where it would be very dangerous, because unless you had a hovercraft, you really can't get out here. There are some hovercrafts around. We know that they exist up here. In fact, there's a company in Parry Sound that makes a very good brand of hovercraft, but we do not own a hovercraft, and we can't stay here all year. Not yet. One day. It's a dream. It's a dream to live here for a full year, but we would be landlocked for about, you have to figure that you can't get off the island for about 3.5, playing it safe, maybe 4 months. So you have to be prepared to not be able to get off the island for about 4 months. So not many people really want to take that, you know, as a lifestyle. Whereas John and I were like, yeah, let's do it. Whether that or not that ever really happens, I don't know. We'll see. It could just be a pipe dream. Okay, I had 2 more questions, both from the same stitcher, Violet Stitches. And I'm going to read you her whole comment because I thought this was really fun. So Violet Stitches says, I loved this video about your cottage. As a Minnesotan, I had no idea Ontario dipped so far south. Totally true. It really is. You should look it up on the map if you've never really looked at where I'm from. I think you'll be really surprised at how far south we are compared to the top of the United States. So I finally figured out after watching this video that London is actually south of my city of Rochester, and your cabin is directly east of us, so not north in relation to Minnesota. If you'd ever be comfortable giving an interior tour of your cabin, I'd love to see it. I was expecting more of a shack of sorts, but it appears from the outside your place is pretty modern. I'd be afraid of the bears, but the rest seems like heaven. So yeah, you know, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the inside of the cottage. I have a little bit of video about my kitchen after I've done putting this up, because your next question says, one more question, how do you store your food to keep the bears away? Do you hang in from the trees or something? You do if you're camping. If you were camping in a tent, definitely you'd be hanging your food from a tree. That is camping 101. If you don't want bears in your tent, you're going to be hanging your food up high. You can also buy bear resistant, you know, canisters kind of things. But no, here you must be careful with your garbage. Okay, so we keep our garbage in a locked lid can inside our breeze room. So it's inside the cabin. We don't keep our garbage outside. We never compost, which is unfortunate because it would, you know, composting produces waste that I don't love throwing away. However, I'm not interested in attracting the bear. So no compost, keep the garbage inside in a Loctite lid, and no bird feeders, no feeding the birds, like including hummingbird or wild bird seed, none of that. So, and just little things, like we used to husk corn outside and we just chuck the husk into the bush, right? None of that anymore. No attracting the bear at all. So we keep the food inside, and I no longer keep really ripe fruit out on the counter. That goes in the fridge. Everything goes in the fridge. We have 2 large bar fridges that are stacked on top of each other, and they are run off of our solar panels. We have no freezer. My father-in-law has a small freezer on his fridge, and so we keep a few things over in his freezer. Everything else is kept in, you know, canisters with lids and in its original box, in its thing. The thing that we did install last year after we were visited by the mother bear was we now have brackets on both of our main outside doors, and we put every night before we go to bed, we put a 2x4 in those brackets so that those doors are completely barred from the outside. So, and really those were really the only 2 points of entry that a bear could possibly have gotten in. Other than that, you might have seen from yesterday, we're up on those concrete pillars, the rest of the cottage is just too high up. So unless the bear is going to climb the steps and try to get in through the door, those are barred now. When I'm here by myself during the day and I'm sewing, I always put the bars up on the doors because I'm usually wearing earphones and I don't want to have to think about the bear. So I just bar the doors and it's good to go. Okay, and I think that's it for today. You guys had really great, wonderful comments and great questions, and I am really enjoying doing this. I hope that you're enjoying it too. I have a little surprise for tomorrow. I was hoping to get it for today, but it didn't work out. I got my husband to go over to the Beaver Dam and take some footage, but it was a little bit windy today, and unfortunately you couldn't hear half of what he said because the wind was affecting the quality of the sound recording. So he has said that he will go back tomorrow morning, early morning, in the kayak and get some more footage of the Beaver Dam and tell you a little bit about that. So if you're excited about learning more about beavers, I'm not sure you're going to learn a ton, but it's pretty cool to see. The water level is so high this year that most of the lodge, actually it's a beaver lodge. He corrected me. I'm not calling it the right thing. It's on Beaver Dam. It's a beaver lodge. So most of the lodge is actually now underwater. You could see a lot more of it, the past 5 years, but most of it is underwater now. But it's still pretty substantial. So I hope to be able to share that with you tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a video clip that I took a few days ago of our little kitchen area. And you can see that we're, other than the fact that it's small, it's a very small cabin. It's perfectly suited for, we have all the mod cons here, indoor plumbing, a regular stove and fridge and sink and all that stuff. It's just everything is done with the mind of not having electricity or, just different power sources. Other than that, it's a pretty cool place to be. So I hope that you're finding this interesting, and thanks for coming along with me for a little bit of a diary. So I will see you tomorrow with more stitching completed. Promise, because I can't wait. Can't wait to get to it tonight. It's gonna be fun. All right, happy stitching, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I've got a pretty simple kitchen in here. You can see it's very, very basic, but it's perfect. We just used some old plywood and varathaned it for the countertops, which I think is a perfect thing to do in a kitchen. We have company here this weekend, so we have a lot more stuff out on the counters. Exhibit A, the gigantic box of Timbits that the kids have been munching through. And there on the stove, you can see my ever-present accessory, the mocha pot and kettle for coffee. Nothing tastes as good as the coffee that I make up here. I love it. So as you can see, that wall in the back there is still unfinished. My husband has built this entire cabin with his own 2 hands. And as the years have passed, he's done the work himself of finishing and making this a home. So you can see the pine walls. We have like a post and beam. So you can see the beams in the ceiling here. And there's the center pole there, our ceiling. So we have a little loft up there where the kids like to play. And you can see the kids' messy, messy, messy bedroom. There are a lot of kids here at the moment, so it looks a little bit like a bomb's gone off. There's our main kitchen table where we hang out and chat. And my cubbies over on the other wall that John built for me. And you can see over there, that is the craziest off-the-grid bit of central vac you've ever seen. It is actually a shop vac that we've hooked up under the cottage, and then we have all of the workings of a central vac hooked up to the shop vac. And then you can see there are the doors that lead to the breeze room, where we spend a lot of our time, and just our cottage couches, and oh, the pillows are backwards. You can see the zips on the front, and all of our kids' shorts and wet towels. Constant addition to our decor around the cabin because, well, they're constantly in and out of the water, and frankly, I think that when you're up here at a cottage, that's how it should be. So I'm not overly worried about things being perfect. We're busy making memories. So there you have it. A little tour of the inside. It's small, tiny, and my husband built it just for us. It's perfect.